Morning, Daniel.
Good morning.
This is file number 231573, People versus Brian Paul Ash. Mr. Ash is here with his attorney, Caitlin Locke. Also present is Deborah Davis from the prosecuting attorney's office. This was originally charged as assault with intent to do great bodily harm and conspiracy to do assault with great bodily harm less than murder. It was pled to aggravated assault. The defendant's co-defendant, Denise Wolf, is at large, and there is presently a warrant for her arrest for her participation in this incident. Good morning, Ms. Locke. Let's start with you. What would you like me to know?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ash is 49 years old. He does not have a prior record. If there is anything that shows up, I believe it's back from
90s.
Yeah, 96.
I had him in a case when I was prosecutor, and I think he completed a deferral, and I don't think it ended up being charged with anything, but I had something 25 years ago or so, but I think that's it.
Yeah, and it's been obviously that long since he's had any run-ins or anything with police. On the date of this incident, Mr. Ash was hanging out with Miss Wolf. Just as friends. They had dated previously, but unbeknownst to him during that time, the individual in question here, Zach, had come to the house and had slashed all four of Mr. Ash's tires on his truck. When Mr. Ash was getting ready to leave, he stepped out, he saw that the tires were slashed, and immediately went after Zach. It was absolutely out of character for Mr. Ash to behave like this, and was really very much a heat of the moment. Zach was in a shed where he had been trespassed before, that he did not have permission to be. And I think the conspiracy, though I think would not have been able to been convicted of, led from Miss Wolf advising that he was likely in the shed. So again, this is extremely out of character for Mr. Ash. What he does on a daily basis, he's an avid bike rider. He currently just moved in his daughter and his grandson into his home to help his daughter get back on her feet and to help support them. He is on disability and has been for years and will continue to be for some physical and mental health issues as well. He currently takes 5 medications daily, but does that religiously and is very, has his schedule and routine very well laid out. And explaining kind of what happened, obviously, it's by no means not an excuse, but more of an explanation as to where Mr. Ash's head was at that time. He hasn't tried to make excuses from the very beginning. Your Honor, he called me, I believe, the day after this happened. We were religiously checking to make sure, as soon as the warrant popped up, that Mr. Ash turned himself in, and he did turn himself in within a day or two of the warrant being authorized. He actually was stopped on, I think he mentioned that at our plea, he was actually stopped by the police on his way in, and they followed him in to turn himself in. He was on community corrections and had a tether. There were no issues with that. However, when he pled it down, they advised that he no longer needed to be on that tether, but he had no issues or concerns with that. And as I said, he's been in constant communication. I believe you have the certificate of completion of an 8-hour anger management class that Mr. Ash completed. I don't believe that jail time is really necessary or needed in this case. If Your Honor does believe that some type of oversight is appropriate, then we would ask for minimal probation. But I would ask that you consider fines and costs. he's accepted the fact that there's obviously going to be restitution in this. We have not been provided any numbers, but Mr. Ash has set aside about $2,000 to make sure that he can pay the court fines and costs as well as the restitution, and to show this court as well as the prosecutor that he is taking this very seriously and takes ownership and responsibility for his actions. So I would ask that you consider his lack of a prior record, or how long it's been since the 25-year-old case, and the circumstances leading up to this, and allow him to pay fines and costs and the restitution as ordered whenever we do get that. Thank you, Judge.
The affidavit says that the guy that got hit, Zachary Royer, was sleeping in a shed on his girlfriend's property. Well, reading in between the lines, they must not be in much of a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship if he's living in the shed.
And she was interviewed as well, and she said that he did not have permission to be there, that she had asked him to leave multiple times before that as well. So I'm not sure the ultimate relationship, I believe.
I didn't get the whole police report. I think I asked for some of these before, and then I asked for some on Friday. I must have neglected this one.
I can address that.
All right. And also, the first I heard of him slashing all of the complainant's tires.
So, Your Honor, according to the police report, the interview with Mr. Royer, Zachary, was that his girlfriend, Denise, said her ex was coming over to talk to her. He was having some issues, whatever. They were not fighting. They were not arguing. They were still in a dating relationship, according to Zachary. He said, I'm going to go sleep in the shed while you guys talk about your issue, whatever. So his story is that he was then awoken by being hit in the head with a metal pipe, with Mr. Ash standing over him and Denise with him, and that then those two left together. He then got his wits about him and somehow managed to ride his bicycle to his mother's house, who saw the wound on the back of his head, which is pretty gory, and took him to the hospital. When Miss Wolf was interviewed a while later, when she was in custody, her story was slightly different. She said that her and Zach were kind of like in a broken up situation, but he just wouldn't leave. And that Mr. Ash came over to speak with her. And during the course of their speaking with each other, when he went to leave, he found that his tires were slashed. And she said to him, well, Zach has done that to me before, so it must be him. And then told him that he's, in this shed back here. So I guess regardless of what their relationship statuses were or what, 4 slashed tires does not equal bashing somebody in the head with a metal pipe. I mean, there are ways to handle property damage. Zach's statement is that one or both of them took his phone so that he couldn't call 911. So then he's, riding his bicycle down the road with a bloodied head. So again, I don't know what the issues of the relationship are leading up to it, but the bottom line is, if your excuse for beating him was you had your tires slashed, that's a really poor excuse. So I ask that the court consider some jail time for this. I don't have restitution amounts. I don't have contact from the victim. I would ask that this be left, the restitution be left open at this point, judging by the injuries and the treatment at ProMedica. I suspect that there is some sort of restitution, at least for the hospital bills.
Your Honor, if I may address just some of that, as was stated, there is a difference of exactly what happened when Denise Wolf gave her explanation. In fact, she says that Mr. Royer was not sleeping, that she had actually reached over and woke him up and hit his foot and said, what did you do to Brian's car? Also, and she said, he did the same thing to my car. And then Denise advised that Zach had been told not to come on her property. and that he would be trespassed. So, and as I stated, it's absolutely not an excuse.
Well, as often I said, the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely.
And whether he was awake or just woke up, the solution to this problem was not hitting this guy in the head with a metal pipe. People die from that sort of thing. And he had a hole in his skull. But it helps me understand why Mr. Ash was so angry. I thought it was like helping a friend evict somebody from the garage. But if somebody slashed my 4 tires, that probably would be something to make me mad. But again, I don't know if hitting somebody with a pipe, you're lucky you didn't kill the guy. You'd be in here on a manslaughter charge or worse. Mr. Ash, what would you like me to know?
I apologize to the courts. I apologize to Mr. Royer, his mom and stepdad, who I've known for years. I just reacted badly to a situation. I should have known better. And I've taken this situation and learned a lot from it. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Fair enough. This would have been probably a not very hard case to prove as felonious assault. Hitting somebody with a pipe is a felonious assault. Great bodily harm might not have been that hard to prove either. Hit somebody with a pipe in the head, which is a 10-year felony. There doesn't appear to be any self-defense argument. The guy was either asleep or groggy, and he may not be telling the complete truth about the background. But sometimes when you do something like slash somebody's tires, there's a consequence. Because you turned yourself in, you've made every hearing, you got a PR bond. I think you spent 1 day in jail. 31 days, credit 1, leaving 30 days to serve. There's a $100 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, and a $50 state minimum fee. That is $225. And I'm reserving on restitution. You're going to jail right now. You'll get out with good time in about 25 days. But you're lucky this isn't a felony, and you're lucky the guy didn't die.
Your Honor, is there any, I know he's not working, any type of work release or any type of holding this in abeyance and putting him on probation?
No, this is just a jail sentence. And I originally this morning thought I was going to do 90. I looked at it Friday and again this morning, but I now understand there's more provocation. But you don't just get to hit somebody in the head with a pipe, say, hey, I'm sorry. There's a consequence, and you're going to do 30 days in jail. Fine is a good time. Here's the envelope regarding the fines. What do you have for me, Matt?
I need to travel this while.
It's right here.
Which is original.
What aggravated assault?
Well, definitely.
Are you gonna cause me a problem if I walk you up the top steps?
Where do you want?
Was this car parked out front? Is that what happened?
Where's it parked at? In the parking lot? What kind of car is it? What color? And somebody that can come pick it up?
Probably not. Actually,
Is that before 5 o'clock?
yeah, it should be before.
Give me the keys. You want to go back there and name and stuff? All right, we're going this way, sir.
Brian, I'll call them and Bree, okay?